And so, Brandon, let's talk anime.
Yeah.
Yes, let's do. And your kid is wise to be able to want to go to that. And I'm actually going to be devoting the month of July to family shows, and my daughter will turn 13, so she's going to be a guest on my show once she turns 13. But as far as what tickles my fancy, oh man, there's so much good stuff out there. You want to talk about golden ages? The 80s and the 90s were the golden age. You could do about anything, and the animators were up to the challenge. The 2000s have been an eye-opener, and some of the modern stuff, while I'm not as up on it as I'd like to be, is really good. As far as what I have brought to the table today, I'm going to start with my favorite from the 2000s, which is also what my avatar is based off of. If you know, you know, and if you don't know, well, I'm going to tell you. It is Hellsing Ultimate. It's a 10-volume Tokubon, or basically a collection of a Tokubon is basically think of it as I keep forgetting the stupid word. The collection of comic books together that form a bigger
compendium, like an omnibus.
Yeah, a compendium, basically.
Let's wake him up here with this, though. Can I do this?
Yes.
Yeah. Let's hit him with this.
Wake him up.
Fuck.
Oh yes, and that's not even from the official version of the show. See, that's what's great about anime, is there are massive, huge nerd fans out there that will take the base story, and since it's animated, they can create their own thing. That is actually from Team 4-Star. They did an abridged version of Hellsing, and for the most part, they stick to the story of Hellsing through Hellsing Ultimate, but they turn it up to 11 in certain places.
Hey, Brandon.
It is so good.
Brandon, not to derail you, but Brian's Gate says his favorite book is, of course, The Count of Monte Cristo. It's a great story, but that was turned to an anime, and that I'm not going to pronounce it, but are you familiar with that?
I am not, and I believe it would be pronounced Genku Toso, or Genku Tuso.
What he said,
I believe.
Yeah,
but exactly. Yeah, there's a ton of stuff out there that I never would have dreamed of that is adapted. For example, in '97, I believe, Romeo x Juliet, or Romeo cross Juliet. But it's not your standard tale of Romeo and Juliet. It is a story where the one house kills everybody except for Juliet of the other house on a floating continent with Pegasus. Damn. And with magic. Watched a little bit of it. It's actually pretty good. It's only 26 episodes long, so just a single season. And with anime, you'll typically find that most everything is either in one of two camps. Either a season or 2 seasons, then the show is done. Because the manga that it's typically based on is about that long, about 26 to 50 chapters long. Then you have the complete opposite, which is like your One Pieces or your Dragon Ball Z, which never end. Or you'll get something like Berserk, which, if you have not read Berserk, you need to run, not walk, to your computer, get on Amazon, and purchase every single one of those that you can. It is quite possibly the peak of dark fantasy.
Wow.
Now, that's one that didn't get the love in the anime side as it has gotten through the manga, and that's another one that unfortunately will never be finished because Kentaro Miura passed away last year, and they didn't have a plan to, as far as completing it, which is unfortunate. But as far as what I would recommend to see that's from this decade that I've been focusing on, definitely got to see Hellsing Ultimate. And actually, I do have a clip to share.
Ooh, here we go.
Let's see. This is from the beginning of Abridged. Now, the reason why that I'm showing the abridged one is A, it's funnier, but B, you don't have to deal with the various powers that be trying to strip or take you down. So this one can be played in full. It's only about 30 seconds long, and you'll be fine.
But
it's ready to go.
Go for it.
Yeah, it's ready. There we go.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. I love you, Edward.
And I love you, Bella. Hold on.
Wow.
Where is it?
Oh, you know. A real
Wow.
fucking vampire.
Oh my god!
That's
Oh
great.
yes.
Oh my god!
is,
now I get it. Now I get it.
I've-
Now I understand. Thank you. Yeah.
Here's what I'll say. Most everything that I'll suggest is either TV 14 or above, and that one is way above. So, TV, TVMA LSV, strong language, strong violence, some nudity, and some sexual content. But this is a great story. This is unique within anime. Is that this show is set in England. They all have English names. Everybody does. None of the characters are Japanese, but in the original Japanese language, they sound phenomenal. But what makes this one even more special is the voice cast that did the English dub is probably as top-notch as it gets. And to make it even better is this. The ultimate version, which is the completed one, which basically follows the manga, chapter 1 through chapter 10 in its entirety. There was an earlier series done in 2001 that was going at the same time as the manga, but since the manga wasn't completed, they kind of did their own thing. And it deviates a bit. But the voice cast from it is who does Ultimate. And they are... Oh, they're so good. The lead that plays Alucard, Crispin Freeman, if I remember correctly. He does tons of voices throughout the years from the 90s. Togusa from Ghosts in the Shell. He does his voice. He does everything, and it's just so good. If you're wanting something that is semi-dark fantasy and absolutely horror inspired, this is it. It is so good, and it oozes charisma.
Yeah.
So that's one from the 2000s.
I'm gonna give him a bit more of Hellsing here. And
yes.
then I've got to Roman sent me a donation, so we'll talk about that. But first, this.
And they took exception to that. But you know how that song and dance goes.
Oh my god!
And what happened to the rest of them? Oh, you know,
God.
I just took them all out, except for one. Well, what happened to that one? Pussed out like a bitch.
I can't imagine why American comic books and American shows are losing out to anime or manga. I can't understand it.
Well, let me tell you this.
Wow.
Have you heard of Chainsaw Man?
I've heard of it.
I want
That
to.
manga has been one of the top sellers for the past 2-3 years, I believe. It is getting its anime adaptation, and it is coming out this fall, and holy crap. The one preview that they've dropped on it has more, let's just say, fanboys all not up in arms, but having their money out like Fry and saying, shut up and take my money.
I miss those days.
I miss those days too.
But
Yeah,
obviously, anime and manga, there's a reason why they're winning.
Yeah,
And they're
absolutely.
they're not slightly winning. They are literally, they don't even bother fighting. They just walk in the room and money just rains down. That's it.
They dominate. And the way that you can tell they dominate is if you look at the sales history for that month for anything that's graphic novel related. See, that's the one term I can never remember. Graphic novel. Everything graphic novel, comic book, mangaka, tokoban related. Maybe one DC comic, maybe, and that's only because they're doing something stupid with Batman or something stupid with Superman. But every other one is a manga. And
Brandon, are you sure you don't do the voice of Alucard? You sound a lot like him, actually.
well, I
joking.
have practiced it a little bit.
Yeah. Let me.
That's good.
I am going to shout out Roman of the Empire who tipped $5, and he says, "So many of my favorite people all in one place, and that's not the whiskey talking. Zaxx love the masks, just Cap and Green Lantern in my batch. So thank you very much, Roman. Thank you for the support, and I'm going to give you something special. Yeah."
See, that reminds me of something that you'd see in manga or in anime. That's the same feel that I get from that movie.
Good comparison, yeah.
So good. But as far as something else that's worth it from the 2000s, since we're on the 2000s kick, there are a few movies, specifically one that was done in the 80s and then got a second movie, which is based off of a series of light novels, Vampire Hunter D.
I've heard of
That
this
one is an absolute treat of a movie. Now, when you're dealing with anime from the
hold on.
80s,
Make sure to interrupt you again, but Polly's got to go. So thanks, Polly, for coming. I appreciate
See
you
ya, Polly.
popping in. I ambushed you here.
Thanks, brother.
you take care, buddy.
Good seeing
We'll
you,
see
man.
you later.
Nice to be on the street with you, Polly.
You too, as well, dear. It was thanks for the recommendation. I loved all the recommendations. And, yeah, man, it was fun hanging out. You guys be safe. God bless, and I'll be on with Tom Conkle Friday. Going over Kenobi.
Oh boy.
Fingers
May
crossed.
God have mercy
Yeah.
on your soul. May God have mercy.
Doing
on your
God's
soul.
work. I'm doing
You
God.
are. You always are, Polly. Always.
Wow. Oh my God.
That's
care.
right.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Good night,
Bye.
guys. Peace.
See ya.
But yeah, as far as movies go, Vampire Hunter D was done in 84, and most anime movies from that era are only about 80 to 90 minutes long, if even. So they're very condensed. But the style that's in it, once again, is just astounding for the time. And it was based off the first book of the Vampire Hunter D light novel series. The second movie came out in 2000 and was based off of the third book. And you can, if you watch the two, you can definitely tell the difference and the difference in techniques for the hand-drawn animation, what has changed, and how much more time they had to invest in it. And yes, Vampire Hunter D is exceptional. Both it and Bloodlust are great. But as far as one other that I would like to show, let's see here. I'm gonna touch on one that is a little different. It's called Afro Samurai, and it was done in the mid 2000s. And it's a short series. It's only 5 episodes long, and then it has a movie. But it actually stars, or the main characters are, lack of a better term, they're black samurai, black Japanese type people. And the lead English voice in it is Samuel L. Jackson, and holy crap, it is awesome. Let me share it here. This is a scene from the first episode. Now, with Afro Samurai, he plays the voice of Afro Samurai, but he plays the inner voice of Afro Samurai. The actual character speaks very little. And I don't know if he's doing both of the voices, but the main voice that he has for Afro Samurai is very muted, very low key, whereas his let's say his alter ego is typical Samuel L. Jackson. And I've got the clip loaded up here ready for you, and
Nice.
it's a pretty good representation of what to expect.
Come on, Afro, snap out of it, man. Snap out of it.
He's injured. I can take him.
What? Hey, wait! It's too early.
So with this, he had Afro Samurai carries a headband, which is number 2. In this world, this ancient but modern Japan, whoever has the number 2 the headband can challenge the number 1 that has the number 1 headband and more or less become like a god. Only he who has the number 2 headband can challenge the number 1. But anybody can challenge the number 2. So he literally has everybody marked on him for death, trying to take it from him. And these guys are actually part of a group that is out there protecting, or supposed to keep the number 1 safe from any potential number 2s. Well, as we're about to see, they're a little crazy.
Whoa!
And the art style in this is definitely unique to this. It's If you've ever seen the Boondocks that was on
Yep.
Cartoon
Oh,
Network,
yeah.
the same
Yep.
similar type of style.
It looked like that. I didn't want to
Yeah.
sound stupid and say it though, but yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And this one also has very muted colors because the subject matter in this, it's not bright and colorful.
Hey, can't you give a brother a break, yo? Can't you see the man's down? What about honor and fairness and shit?
Wow.
And that's when you know that shit's about to get real. Actually, the soundtrack was done by the RZA, or the Roz from Wu-Tang
RZA.
Clan.
Yeah.
RZA. So
'Cause
it's definitely unique because
I'm a street,
yeah,
so I can
most
say
of the
this.
time, most of the soundtrack that's done for any of these things are not done by Americans. They're done by Japanese artists or Japanese composers.
Hey, that a motherfucking RPG?
Oh my god.
That a motherfucking RPG?
Oh my god.
A RPG in a motherfucking backpack? Wait, we talk about this? You ain't gonna monologue or nothing, get a bad guy speak?
Yeah, that's his inner voice that's doing that. And as you can see, he in his fight, he took a poison arrow and it's starting to sit in on him. So his alter ego is basically saying, hey, wait a minute, what about, all that honor and shit? And these guys don't care. And we're going to see what happens because of that.
Oh my god.
That fool, he may have destroyed the sacred number 2 headband as well.
And most of the other characters from this that are part of this group, they're not your typical voice actors for most anime as far as the dub. So this is definitely very unique within the anime community, but it's also very violent and very gory. Once again, not for kids.
No, I see
So that one I just started. So
I got another donation actually to read out here, so I'm going to do that. It's from Anonymous, and it's for $13.37, and it says awesomely amazing as always. So thank you very much, whoever you are, Anonymous. I appreciate you, and I will give you a clip. What should we do?
Anime.
And so I've got one that we could play if you want. It's
Sweet.
the full
Ooh.
Integra clip. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Let me get that shared here. This one is what I call Integra.
Go eat that Hellsing, bitch! I got your arm!
So shove it up your ass!
That's not fair at all.
I'm sorry. We don't give a fuck.
And what makes it even better is even though that's the abridged and they turn it up to 11 and take everything to the most ridiculous extreme, they didn't have to do that for the Valentine brothers. That dude was that whacked out in the original one, both the original Hellsing and in Ultimate. So yeah, it's good.
Anonymous might want another clip or maybe trolling us, but
It's trolling because it was anonymous, not anonymous.
Oh,
But you know what I like watching as much as the clips is Aleja watching the clips. I want to see her reaction to it. Always.
I'm loving it. I'm having like
Yeah.
boy nerdgasms, and she's like, yeah.
Well, I do have one other show that I do have a 1 minute clip from.
I have a question for you because
Sure.
I don't know if this is real or not. I was watching, I think it was the BBC one day, and I feel like I'm not making this up. As showed Gary a I don't know if it was manga. I don't know anything about this world. I don't know if it was manga or if it was anime. It was Doctor Who. Like it was David Tennant, but it was Doctor.
Yes.
It was. Is this for real? Are they actually doing this? Because if they are, I'd love to watch that.
I know that there is about a 10-minute compilation clip that was put together. The one thing that you'll find within the Japanese culture and all of these guys, they love and adore American and British television and cinema.
Okay.
If you didn't get the chance to see Star Wars Visions, even though it's Disney, it was done by five or six. All of the episodes are done by 6 studios that have a very rich history in creating anime, and they all bring their own style and their own stories into the Star Wars universe. And what makes them great, in my opinion, they don't touch any of the original characters. They don't monkey around with any of that. They created their own characters, and they did it their own way. And it's phenomenal.
Okay. All right. Cool.
But yeah, I know that
there's a book. They novelized Disney Vision or Star Wars Visions, and I was kind of tempted to get it because the artwork looked just gorgeous for it.
Yeah, the first episode, which is the duel, there is an audiobook that has been done based upon the Ronin character.
Okay.
And it's about 12 hours long, and from what I've seen and heard of it, it does sound really good. And in one of the Sinin or comics or weekly or monthly subscriptions that's geared more towards adult men, so men between, let's say, 30 to 50, they are releasing for the next 4 months a story set from the specific visions, the different ones. So they've got one that's coming out. The first one is for who is it for? Hold on. I can't remember it now. I can see it, but let me pull it up here. There we go. The first one that they're doing is from The Elder. That one was the most Star Wars type of story told in all of these. They follow a more traditional Star Wars story setup. You've got the master and the apprentice going out into the into an outer rim world to take care of basically the first, a guy that's very Sith-like, who happens to be a very old geezer. So that's the first one that's coming out. And let's see, where is it coming out from?
I've got a Doctor Who anime clip for Aleja.
Oh, wow.
And I have not seen this. This is, I don't know which doctor it is, but if you don't mind, I'm going to play a little bit of this because this really gets my nerd juices flowing.
Do it.
Wow. Oh my God, this is cool. Oh my God, this is so cool.
This is really cool.
It looks right.
Below and subscribe.
No.
That's super cool. Gosh, if they redid all of Doctor Who in that style, I would watch that in a heartbeat.
Well, if they were to turn it over and let the Japanese actually do it, it wouldn't. It would be really good. I think you'd enjoy what they.
But then the BBC couldn't virtue signal and couldn't alienate fans and couldn't cast the first Rwandan Doctor Who and, of course, the first transgender companion, guys. Well, you guys are talking like the show should make the fans happy. What are you talking about? That's not what this is about. This is about the message. Come on. I'm kidding.
I can't believe that we've heard BBC said twice and Flaccid's never said anything.
Oh, I know. Well, I know my BBC, and it looks nothing like this. So,
do you have any experiences with the BBC, Flacid?
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, incognito, yeah.
Yeah. So actually, I don't know Doctor Who at all, but what I can say is I just heard someone talking about Fallout New Vegas. I think it is. There's a mod for it with 40 hours of Doctor Who content. Apparently, it's pretty cool.
Whoa!
Wow.
Yeah, that would be cool.
And it's excellent.
And I apologize. My internet died there for a second, but I think it's good now.
I think you're coming through
good.
Clear. Yeah, we're good.
Cool. I've got a screen to share on these 4 Star Wars Vision stories, and there it is. So there's the artwork for the first one, and the first one they're doing is the Elder.
Wow.
And
That's beautiful.
yeah, it really is. And the guy that did this also did this series, which I'm not familiar with, but he's got prestige, so it's not an untested person. The issue, zoom it in a little bit more here. It'll premiere in issue 6 of Monthly Big Gungan, a seinen manga publication known for publishing target audiences older men. So it actually launched today, or yesterday for them, today for us. And then these are the other 3 that they're going to do. Lop and Ocho, which was very Star Wars-y, but it falls more into a traditional anime type of setup and character structure. The Ninth Jedi, which was production IG, they're the ones that did Ghost in the Shell, and it was phenomenal.
That was my
even though that's set in the sequel trilogy-ish era, references to it doesn't tie to it, and it was a lot of fun. That was a great episode.
Can I ask you a question though,
Yes.
Brandon? Where's Geode? Where's
They don't deal
Geode
with rocks.
in this?
They don't play around with
right.
stupid characters like that.
Let me try another one. Where's Jedi Buckets of Blood from Disney Star Wars: The Old Republic? He's got to be in this, right? That's got to be in here, right?
No, although in this one, the Ninth Jedi, they, even though it was TV PG, production IG didn't shy away from decapitations or arms being sliced.
I'm okay.
So this one will be really good. Now the last one, the twins, is the most it's the most divisive out of all of them, and it's because of how extreme they take things. Now, for those that don't know, Studio Trigger did a show called Kill la Kill, and they are known for taking things to exaggerating everything, taking things to the most extreme measures that you can do. So this, even though it was tame by their standards, is way the hell out there as far as Star Wars standards, as far as how the battles work, how the powers work, how the lightsabers work, just the over-the-top ridiculousness of that battle. That's purely them.
Can I ask another question? So much as we saw in the what the hell is it? The New Republic, the Old Republic, whatever Disney did with their books. Remember, they had a Jedi who used their lightsaber to slow themselves down in a rock. Is that the kind of stuff you're talking about, or is what they're doing in anime actually makes sense for Jedis?
Well, in the Duel, it made sense. In let's see, in this one, it's very traditional as far as the powers that are used and the lightsaber. So cool. This one is, I would put it 90% Star Wars.
Wow.
And then the other ones, let's see. This one I would put at about 80. This one I would put at 90. This one I would put at maybe 50% because of how exaggerated certain things are. But once I understood what the studio does and why they do it, that show jumped up from being my second least favorite to being my third favorite, precisely because I know how extreme they take it, and they did exactly that, and I thought that was fun.
So we didn't see your mouse, your cursor on the screen. You might want to just call them out, which ones they were.
Okay, so yeah. The twins, that one's the most extreme. Mm-hmm. The middle one here, that's, even though it's in the sequel trilogy era, it's very Star Wars-esque, traditional Star Wars. And then the one on the right, it's not as much. More than the first one, but not as much as the second one.
Okay, that's cool. That's really cool. We've got a couple comments in chat. I think this is probably the one we're all waiting for. When are we going to get the Snowflake in Safe Space anime? Do you know?
Never. Never.
Right,
because if the one thing about the Japanese and their cultures, they're extremely protective about keeping themselves more or less pure, let's say.
Well,
there have been some they do like making money. Although it's an interesting thing. If you talk to people that have lived there and know more about it than even I do, there's in certain parts there's not money to be made because of how things have traditionally been done. A lot of the anime TV series, they typically don't make money. It's the merchandise where they make the money. At least there, but yeah, that's that. If you haven't watched Visions, give it at least a once over. Now, some of them are definitely a little more silly than others, but the ones that are on this list, they're definitely worth your time if you know what to look for and how it is.
Also, the Japanese are never going to get away or give up the stereotype of the pervy old guy.
No, although I will say
stereotype
this,
it's like in every single anime, you'll find the
yeah, I will say this. Comparing 80s and 90s and even most of the 2000s anime to current anime, it has changed a bit. It's normally not to the same extremes as they were back then. It's still a lot better than anything that they're doing here, but you can see little ones here and there where it has tamed down a bit. So, yeah,
Aleja,
those
have
are.
you ever watched anime? Aleja?
So I don't know what this falls under, but I loved Sailor Moon when I was in high school. I love Sailor Moon. And
There
I would
you
love
go.
to get back into it, but I literally don't know where to start. But I know Lady Gravemaster loves Sailor Moon. But yeah, I liked Sailor. It was such an odd concept, but it was so cool. So yeah, I want to get back into Sailor Moon because I think
It's typical.
I don't know if I had some of the small books like right when they came out, and I don't know if I still have them, but yeah, I really liked them.
I'm gonna say goodnight to Cajun Corey Rourke. Good night, Corey.
Good night,
Bye,
Corey.
Cajun.
Good night.
Good night.
Here's what I'll say. Watch it in Japanese with the subtitles on, and here's why.
Okay.
The original dub that came out originally was done by DIC or Dick Entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
It was really good. It has been redubbed by I think it was either Funimation or one of the other ones. It's not good in comparison. So
Is that what's on
I do
Hulu?
highly. I don't think it's on Hulu. I want to say Crunchyroll is going to have it. If they don't have it, High Dive or even a Retro Crush would have it. But definitely watch it. Watch it in the original Japanese. One, it's better. Two, it'll help you make more sense. And three, if it's the current dub, you won't have any of some of the woke wanker stuff that they've been doing recently. And that is one problem that has been plaguing the dubbing industry. Is a lot of them are either based out of San Francisco or they're part of that industry, so they have to deal with the message, and they make little changes here and there just enough to either put the man down or completely change the meaning of something. Now, because of that, most of these studios have stopped going to them directly and are in-housing their dubs.
Okay.
Which is good, because then they can control the translation, which with the Japanese language being the way it is, a lot of things are set in it. It's not fluid like how English is, or even some other languages like it's just not fluid. So
Brandon,
translating can be very difficult.
To be clear, they're changing the stories in the dubbed versions?
Yes, they can change it just enough to where certain scenes that played out a certain way don't play out that same way. And yes, I don't blame anybody for hating dubbing. There are a ton of bad dubs out there. Some of them are so bad they're good, so good they're bad. But if you can, for most things, stick with the original Japanese and subtitled. And there are the exceptions to that. For example, Trigun was really good with the dub. Cowboy Bebop is arguably better dubbed. Hellsing Ultimate, I would also argue, is better dubbed. And a few of the other ones, like Afro Samurai, even though they do have it in the original Japanese, it was conceived and done with Samuel L. Jackson specifically in mind and with English speakers in mind.
So I have very little anime trivia, but I do know that Tom Conkle did a lot of the dub work for Trigun. Which is a fun fact. So yeah, I have been derelict in my duties to the chat, so I'm going to quickly say hi to some people. I've got to say, Shinotsky, hey, thanks for coming. Brian's Gates here. Still, Nerdscape has come in. Stephen Ransom's hung out. Who else do I got here to say hi to?
Yeah, Shinotsky has a point about specifically referring to Sailor Moon that needs to be brought up, and this is why when things are brought here, especially now, they really don't. Things can get changed like this.
Yeah, and I remember those girls. I remember from high school that they were married. I think it was Sailor Mercury and Jupiter, I think.
But yeah, there's a lot of, and this is unusual because Pioneer at that time, anything that Pioneer touched and they brought over was gold, and that's something, Shinotsky, that you and I are going to have to do a video about, is specifically when Pioneer ruled anime in this country, because they really did there in the 90s. Everything that they brought over here was fantastic.
And Punk Waddle's here, and Rose Gamgee has come back. Squeaka Mouse is here.
Hey, Squeaka. Did you fix your bourbon problem yet, Squeaka? Inquiring minds would like to know.
Hey, Squeaka.
That's almost.
But yeah, they're saying Uranus and Neptune were the couple.
Okay, that's who it was. Okay. Wow, I was way off.
Yeah, so there's just a ton of great stuff out there. And as I said, I haven't even touched on the stuff that I'm watching for this Saturday, or even stuff that I'm going to touch on next month that's modern and current that is really good. So
tell us, give us one.
Okay, one that I'm watching that's also in the 2000s. I know I'm going to butcher how it's said. Hold on just a sec. Let me actually get it in front of me so I can read it and pronounce it right.
I'll hum the Star Spangled Banner and vamp for you. Wow. I think he dropped himself out. I think we lost him again. That's
nice.
what happened.
He's trying to get away. I got him.
All right, here we go. You got him?
Nice try.
All right.
It helps if I don't boomer the damn thing. Hold on a sec.
That's okay. I was just going to say I'll hum for you or tell
Zaxx,
a joke or something.
have you watched many animes? I don't know if you said or not.
You know, I watched some in the 90s back in, and that was more when it was DVDs and there was some like people had tapes and things like that back then. But then more recently, my kids watching One Piece, and so like it's a bit much. There's too many of them, really, and that's kind of the problem. But there's some I want to watch. There's Legends of Galactic, I think it's called Heroes. Is one I want to watch.
Yes, that one is only currently still in the original Japanese. And you want to talk about Game of Thrones and nobody is safe? That's it. And they've actually got a new season of it, even though that series started back in the 80s. That's another thing that you'll find. There's a lot of these series that they take a long time to get new seasons out of them, either because they're waiting on the manga or various other things. But that show is epic, very epic. And I do have a screen to share.
Sweet. That's
showing the new the one that I'm watching for this Saturday. It's called Hajime no Ippo, and it's a boxing anime. It follows the story of Ippo, who he's basically a bullied high school student. And one day, while he's getting the crap kicked out of him, a professional...
Galadriel?
I'm sorry, what?
Not Galadriel, though, right?
No, no, not that. He's being beat up, and a professional Japanese fighter named Mamura Tamura walks by, and more or less, the bullies try to attack him because he tells them to stop, and they can't touch him, so they run away, and Ippo is so impressed... he's knocked out. He gets taken to the gym, and when he wakes up, he's impressed by the guy so much that he starts thinking about wanting to become a boxer. So the first thing that he has him do is hit the heavy bag, and he hits the heavy bag so hard that he scraped his knuckles down several layers, and we're talking second degree, third degree type damage to his knuckles, and from there. It just goes on his hero's journey of him learning to become a boxer. But before he can even do that, he has to be accepted by the gym. he has to prove himself worthy for that. Yes, we do need to cover Boogie Pop Phantom. And there was so this one arguably is the most popular boxing anime of all time, and you'd be surprised how many boxing themed shows there are. There's more of them than I thought there was. But this one is arguably one of the number ones. But the other one that I saw that I've been referred to is Ashita no Joe. Now this one, the manga was created back in 68 and went through 75. And this show started in 1970 and finished in 1981. It's also known as Tomorrow's Joe. They do have 2 Blu-ray compilations, Tomorrow Joe and Tomorrow Joe 2, but this particular show is not readily available for streaming. But if you look at the facial structure, how they look, they have a little different look to them. They're a little different than what they are in the 80s and the 90s. But you can see where the inspiration for this came from. And this one has about the same amount of episodes, about 150. A great story about a street fighter who impresses the guy with the eye patch, who is a former boxer and a former trainer, who is, hitting the bottle heavily. And he's waiting for that one fighter to make it with. And he sees him fight, and he doesn't let him go. He says, "Let me train you." And the guy's like, "No, I don't want to be trained." Well, circumstances happen, and he decides to do it. And from there, it catalogs and shows his rise within the boxing world. Excellent story. Now, as I said, the animation's old. You can tell it's old. But it gets made up with how good the story is.
That's the important thing, right?
Absolutely.
Should be. Okay, well, I have another donation actually to announce, and this is also anonymous, so I don't know if it's not anonymous, and could be the same anonymous as last time, but it's 1337 again. And it says, "Good night and thanks again, Zaxxy. Stay awesome." So I suspect I know who that is.
Oh,
she is amazing.
Ooh,
yeah,
do tell.
thank you. Well, she says anonymous, so or he, I guess, maybe, I don't know. I do know.
No one's judging.
Yeah,
it's 2022. Yeah.
But thank you so much, and you are going to get a clip, even though you may not even be here anymore. And it's going to be from RRR, and let's see. This is right near the beginning of the movie. It's sort of when it lets you know it's going to be nuts.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. It's like the Doctor Strange 2 we wanted instead of what we got.
Pretty much, yeah. So, okay. Flaccid, have you watched any anime?
Yeah, I've watched a ton of anime growing up. My first anime experience, I think, was for some reason, like back in the day, you could rent VHSs from the library. And for some reason, my brother got like one episode or whatever, 3 or 4 episodes in one VHS tape of Dragon Ball Z. And it was right in the middle of the Namek saga. Captain Ginyu switches bodies with Goku. And if that's your first ever experience of Dragon Ball Z, if anyone knows that, you're fucking confused what's going on. Like, what the hell is going on right now? Like, the main character now is like in this other body. Like, is this normal? Whatever. But yeah, no, I like anime a lot. I like more of the kind of older stuff too. Like Yu Yu Hakusho is a great anime. That's way more mainstream anime, but the Dark Tournament's one of the best arcs I think I've watched in anime. I love tournament. That cliche of tournament sagas or arcs in TV shows or animes are great. It's the reason why I like My Hero Academia as well right now. So.
And Shinatsuki's right. Goku is the worst dad, next only to Genma Satome. And that's absolutely true. Genma is, he's so awful.
So he would fit in with mainstream Hollywood right now if he's a bad dad.
Yes, they would. Maybe. I don't know.
Piccolo would. He groomed Gohan, so yep, he's way more of a groomer, so he'd fit in more.